Let's talk about ball tampering. Why? Because it's in the news. Today's PSL match between Lahore and Karachi gave us one of the most controversial things that can happen in cricket. Not a no ball, not a dodgy LBW, not even a fake injury timeout. No, we're talking about ball tampering because Fakhar Zaman has been charged after an incident in the match today against the Karachi Kings. And if you're wondering why this became such a huge talking point so quickly, it's because in cricket, very few accusations carry quite the same stigma as ball tampering. So in this video, I want to do two things. First, I want to explain what happened today and why it mattered, and then use that as a jumping off point to go through the wider and often very weird history of ball tampering in cricket. And yes, some of these are going to be ridiculous, absurd, but hopefully you'll enjoy them. And if you do enjoy them, please do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Let's get into it. First today, the official PSL press release says that Fakhar Zaman has been charged with a level 3 offence under Article 2.14 of the code for allegedly violating Article 41.3 of the playing conditions of the PSL. That's the law around changing the condition of the ball. According to the release, the incident happened in the second innings. Fakhar Zaman has denied the charge and another hearing is due in 48 hours, after which the match referee Roshan Mahanama is expected to issue a verdict. So we need to be careful here. At the time of recording, this is not yet a completed guilt finding. He has been charged, but he has denied it, and that distinction matters. But what did happen in the match is that the batting team received 5 extra runs. The bowling side were given a 5-run penalty. And that's because under cricket's laws, if umpires believe a player has unfairly changed the conditions of the ball, they can immediately award 5 penalty runs to the opposition. That is a standard sanction under the game's unfair play laws. Now, if you don't watch loads of cricket, you might be wondering, what even is ball tampering? And this is where cricket gets beautifully unhinged, because in this sport, we've basically created a game where one of the central tactical objects is a slowly deteriorating leather orb, and then told 22 highly competitive weirdos, they're allowed to maintain it, but only in very specific ways. You're allowed to polish the ball on your trousers or shirt. You can dry it. You can clean the mud off it properly and legally maintain one side better than the other. Why? Because the condition of the ball affects how it moves through the air. A cricket ball with one side smoother and shinier than the other side can help bowlers generate swing, like reverse swing. And when the ball gets older and rougher, especially if one side is preserved better than the other, that can contribute to reverse swing, as we've seen in the past. That's why players are obsessed with it. But there's a line. You can look after the ball, but you can't artificially alter it. Once you cross that line, you're into ball tampering territory. That can include things like scratching the surface with a fingernail, lifting or picking at the seam, rubbing it on the ground, using bottle caps, sandpaper, remember that? Or zips, or applying substances that shouldn't be there. And this is why ball tampering has become one of cricket's most infamous offences, because unlike, say, bowling a beamer or wasting time, this is seen as something much more deliberate, more premeditated, more sneaky, which means every generation of cricket ends up with its own scandal. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through some of the biggest scandals in ball tampering history. One of the earliest notorious examples came from Chris Pringle of New Zealand, who later admitted that during a 1990 tour of Pakistan, he used a concealed bottle cap to rough up the ball. A bottle cap. Not exactly subtle, but very effective. Then in 1994, England captain Michael Atherton got caught up in what became known as the dirt in the pocket affair at Lord's. Television cameras spotted him reaching into his pocket and then rubbing something onto the ball. Atherton denied ball tampering and said it was just dirt he used to dry his hands, but he was still fined, not for proven tampering, but for failing to disclose it properly, which is very cricket. Even the scandals have paperwork. Then, in the year 2000, Waqar Younis became the first player suspended for ball tampering after being penalised during an ODI in Sri Lanka. That's a major landmark in the history of this issue. Then it came one of the most controversial cases ever, Sachin Tendulkar in 2001. He was initially suspended after television footage appeared to show him working on the seam of the ball during a test in South Africa, but the ICC later cleared him of ball tampering while saying he had cleaned the ball without the umpire's permission, so that's a little bit different. Again, not every accusation ends in a clean, straightforward conviction, and that's important to remember whenever one of these stories blows up. In 2004, Rahul Dravid was fined after footage showed him applying a cough lozenge to the ball. A cough lozenge. Cricket is the only sport where this whole soother can become forensic evidence. Then in 2005, Marcus Trescothick later admitted in his autobiography that England players had used mints to help keep the ball shiny during that era. Again, because the shine matters. Then we get to one of the biggest and most politically loaded controversies in cricket history, Pakistan at the Oval in 2006. Pakistan were penalised for allegedly ball tampering during a test against England. They protested. They refused to return to the field after tea, and the umpires awarded the match to England. To this day, that remains one of the most chaotic and bitter ball-related controversies the game has ever seen. And it mattered so much because for a lot of fans, especially Pakistan fans, it never felt like just a rules issue. It felt like an accusation, humiliation, and distrust, sort of all rolled into one big ball, if you pardon the pun. Then in 2010, Shahid Afridi gave us perhaps the least subtle ball tampering footage of all time when he was literally seen biting the ball against Australia. Biting it like he was checking whether it was ripe. He later pleaded guilty and was banned for 2 T20 internationals. South Africa, meanwhile, built what can only be described as a small cinematic universe around ball tampering. In 2013, Faf du Plessis was fined after being seen scuffing the ball against the zip of his trousers. Not allowed, mate. In 2014, Vernon Philander was found guilty of scratching the ball with his fingers and thumb. Again, not allowed. And in 2016, Faf du Plessis was in trouble again after footage appears to show him applying saliva from a mint or lolly to the ball. This is one of my favourite subgenres of cricket scandal, by the way, confectionery crime. But then came the one incident that changed everything. Cape Town 2018, Sandpapergate. This is the ball tampering scandal, the one even non-cricket fans remember. Australia's Cameron Bancroft was caught on camera rubbing the ball with a suspicious yellow object and then trying to hide it. At first, it was described as adhesive tape with dirt on it, which is already bad. Then it turned out to be sandpaper, even worse. And what made that scandal seismic wasn't just the act itself. It was the scale of the fallout. Steve Smith, David Warner, and Bancroft all got dragged into it. There were tears, press conferences, leadership resignations, suspensions, national outrage. It genuinely became a moral crisis for Australian cricket. And honestly, that scandal did something important. It made the entire cricket world stop pretending that this was some fringe issue. Because before that, a lot of people had treated ball tampering like some sort of dark art. Bit naughty, bit murky, a bit everyone probably does something. After Cape Town, it became much harder to shrug it off as gamesmanship. Now, one really important modern wrinkle here is saliva. Historically, players often use saliva and sweat to help shine one side of the ball. That had long been normal, but after COVID, saliva was banned. So the legal ways of maintaining the ball became even narrower, which means the officials are, in theory at least, even more alert now to anything suspicious. And that brings us back to today. Why does this matter so much? Because in a T20, a 5-run penalty is enormous. Just ask the Lahore Qalandars. This is not Test cricket where teams can absorb a bit of chaos over 5 days. 5 runs in a T20 can absolutely swing a game. And beyond the runs, there's the reputational damage. Because the phrase ball tampering is so toxic in cricket that even being associated with it creates headlines instantly. Which is why the Fakhar story blew up the second it happened. Now, where I'd be careful is this. Until the final hearing and the verdict are complete, we should not speak about Fakhar as though he's definitely been proven guilty. That would be sloppy and unfair. What we can say is this. He's been charged, he's denied it, a 5-run penalty was imposed in the match, and the cricket world, as always, has lost its mind. Doesn't sound like the cricket world, does it? Because cricket can forgive many things. A duck, a drop, even a brain-dead run-out. Check out the other videos on this channel for some of those. But once people think you've messed with the ball, that stain lasts. And that's why this story matters, not just because of what may have happened in one PSL game, but because it taps directly into one of cricket's oldest and most controversial obsessions. How far will players go to make the ball talk? That's my thoughts on the subject. I hope you found it entertaining, interesting, informative. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments below. And please do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And remember, subscribing to my channel really helps me out. So do subscribe and check out some of the other content I've made recently. But until the next time, I will see you soon.